What's good, Deck Gang? I am Richard from Fan to Deck, and this is Steam Pals, the collective of Steam Deck content creators uniting for the Steam Deck community. I'm pretty excited. This is our first video that also includes Russ from Retro Game Core. Anyway, I'm your host for today's video, where we're going to be doing a deep dive into our favorite demos for the last Steam Next Fest. Steam Next Fest is quickly becoming one of our favorite events. Valve is doing them almost every quarter, and it's a chance for us, the gamers, to play demos for games that are releasing soon. It's like going to a game convention without having to physically be at a game convention. In fact, with the Steam Deck, you can now download and play demos wherever you are, at your job, or in the bathroom, or in your job's bathroom. Valve should really consider letting me market this thing for them, don't you think? Anyway, yeah, buckle in, because we have 10 games to look forward to, so without further delay, these are our favorite Next Fest demos.
Hey everybody, this is Russ from Retro Game Core. I got asked to be a part of this episode of Steam Pals, and I said, yeah man, I want to do it. Now for my selection, I chose the game Planet of Lana. This is a game I've had my eye on for a little bit now. And I think what drew me to this game in the first place is the graphics. You know, these are hand-drawn animations, and they are stunning. This is the first game developed by a new studio called Wishfully out of Sweden. And there's a lot to learn about this game, even from playing the short demo. If I had to describe it, I would say it's a companion-based puzzle adventure game. And it reminds me of a few of my favorite games of all time. For example, Ico, with the fact that you have your little companion here to help you through some of your puzzles. And you're also responsible for making sure that they are safe. But it does differ from Ico in a couple ways. For example, this is a 2D game, and then also there's no combat. And so you're mostly going to be using stealth and your wits to get around the puzzles. Another thing I like about it is that the narrative is very subtle, and so for example, the character does speak, but it's in a foreign language. And there are no subtitles or anything else like that, you just kind of have to figure out everything from context, and I really like that. And the other subtle part that I really like is that there's obviously something else happening on this planet, like some sort of war, and you don't really see much of that other than through the lens of Lana's eyes. And so despite being a game that is fairly large in scope, it feels much smaller and more intimate, and so because of that, I really like it. Needless to say, this game is totally on my wish list, and I look forward to playing more of it in the future, and I hope you like this little segment too. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Happy gaming.
Hello everyone, my name's Phawx. I'm joining my Steam pals here. We are once again talking about Steam's Next Fest. So the Steam Next Fest has already happened, and we all chose a game from there that we could talk about in this particular video. For my game that I'm choosing, I am looking at Plan B Terraform. This is a game that a lot of people would find similar to games like Factorio. However, it's quite peaceful at the moment and still in early access, so a lot of things could change yet. And I've only played a few hours right now, so I'm really just scratching the surface of what the game has to offer. But one of the things that I really appreciated from the game was the ability to zoom out and take a look at all the lines and resources that I was going ahead and collecting, and then zooming in real time without any pause. And that particular aspect of the game was something that I found refreshing, and it made it actually a little bit easier for me to kind of quickly jump back and forth in a macroscopic way of trying to manage my terraforming of the planet. And that's really all you're doing, is just resource management in both collection and waste management, and then trying to make factories and other stuff from them. Right now, there is no real penalty for misplacing anything. If you make a factory and use up resources, you could just kind of deconstruct the factory and just get that back. So it is a very peaceful type of game, and you're not really trying to micromanage things and not make mistakes. They don't punish you right now, again, early access, but so far I am really digging the game, and it definitely belongs in our Steam Pals list of games to highlight during Steam's Next Fest.
This is High Tech Lowlife, and today I want to cover Grim Guardians Demon Purge. Grim Guardians is a 2D action game made by Inti Creates, the developers behind Mega Man Zero and more recently, Azure Striker Gunvolt. You take the role of the Kamizono sisters, a pair of high schooler demon hunters, Shinobu, who specializes in long-range combat, and Maya, who excels at short-range combat. Both sisters have access to their own unique sub-weapons that you can unlock as you progress further in the game. The game itself is semi-linear. There are multiple branching paths that you can take, but not all of them can be immediately accessed, oftentimes requiring new abilities. It's a fast-paced 2D action game, much in the vein of Castlevania. Currently, there are two selectable difficulties: Casual mode, which gives you unlimited lives, and Veteran mode, which gives you limited lives, with a third and harder difficulty being available when the game releases. There is a 2-player mode where you and a pal can control the sisters together, but as far as I know, that's local multiplayer only. Another unique thing about this game is the game's unique comeback mechanic. Death isn't the end of the story. If one of the sisters falls in combat, you have the ability to resuscitate them. using, you guessed it, CPR. You know, I always find CPR in video games to be really funny. I don't know why, but it just is. You don't immediately lose a life if a sister falls, but if both sisters falls, you lose a life. Of course, performing CPR during a boss fight isn't always the easiest thing. Bosses can be relentless in this game, and they don't give you enough time to resuscitate your sister. All in all, this is already an excellent 2D action game from a franchise I never expected to go in this direction. Of all the Steam Next Fest demos I've tried out, this is definitely my top pick. If you're a fan of 2D action games, or heck maybe if you're a fan of anime, this game is definitely worth checking out. Game releases this month, so be sure to check it out. On to the next Steam Pal.
Hello everyone, I'm Mekel Kasanova, and I want to talk about a game that I have been part of the beta testing process since 2020. It's kind of crazy, and that is none other than Gestalt Steam Incendiary. So Gestalt Steam Incendiary, you might be wondering, what is that? That is a Metroidvania that I know it's a sea of them that are all over the place, but this one's a little special because it has a really good, interesting story. I don't want to dive really into it because I want you to experience it on your own, but it has a unique art style that harkens to Castlevania. It definitely looks like a Castlevania, but it's got a character that's as badass as Samus Aran. You know, she's a bounty hunter. And it's got hack and slash gameplay, leveling up system. You get new equipment, very similar in vein to traditional Metroidvanias, but more so it's along the lines of Metro. And it's in a, you know, dystopian Wild West cyberpunk style of setting. And I think it's something a lot of you are going to really enjoy. It runs great on the deck. Like I said, I've been playing it for years as part of the beta test. And then when the first public demo came out, I played it on the Steam Deck, and it ran like butter. It was buttery smooth. It's a game I think is going to blow people away. I think this might be in a strong contention for Game of the Year when it does come out. But if you haven't, make sure you check out the demo. And yeah, I want you to let us know what you think of it.
Hey guys, Terk here. I hope you're having a good one. I have been swamped lately with personal stuff and work, and I just don't have a lot of time to drop into a AAA game. But with the latest Steam Next Fest, there's a lot of good indie games out there, and I wanted to talk about yet another zombie survival game. Well, that's actually the title, Yet Another Zombie Survivors. Before you log into a map, you gotta pick your starter character. You can pick the SWAT team member, the tank, or the engineer. Next, you select your map. For the demo, we only have access to the isolated city, which happens to be an open, huge, flat map. I think it would be really awesome to see some more diverse maps and different terrain types that you can use to your advantage. Once you spawn into a level, you're by yourself, and all you've got is your primary weapon. And starting out, you're facing up against basic walking zombies, and you progressively work up to harder types. Now, on the surface, these don't individually feel like much of a problem, but after about a minute or two of gameplay, it turns out to be more like 10, 20, 30, or even 50 zombies coming at you all at once. But the skill in this game is not killing individual zombies, it's surviving the hordes. And as you slay those hordes, you earn points, jewels, and cash, which are used to employ additional team members to your squad, upgrade the different weapons at your disposal, and you also stockpile cash for persistent stat bonuses. But as time progresses, the enemies just keep piling and piling and piling, and you'll actually start to kite a lot of these enemies around. And that's why I find this game really fascinating. It feels a lot like I'm playing Pac-Man and an MMO where I'm tanking the enemies and kiting them. So overall, I really do think Yet Another Zombie Survival pulls in a lot of different aspects from very successful games and puts it into a formula that is really easy to consume. And I find that really easy to get into on my Steam Deck, play for a little bit, and then go on to doing other things. But that's only one of the games I wanted to talk about the Steam Next Fest. What do some of the other Steam Pals have to say?
Hey everyone, Mekel or xylappen here, checking in for the Steam Pals. I decided to take a look at the follow-up to Square Enix hit from 2018 that established the patented HD 2D look, Octopath Traveler II. I loved the style and look of the game and how it evolved over the last few years. Octopath Traveler 2 lets you take control over 8 characters all over the world. For the demo, I decided to go with Hikari, here in the far west of the world. The chunky sprites don't really tax this deck too much, as you're able to get to 60 FPS with around 12 watts and 3 or 4 hours of battery life easily. The battle system takes inspiration from games like Shin Megami Tensei, in that you're aiming for enemy weaknesses to break their defense and get an extra attack without their interference. Even in the beginning of the game, that results in a few great looking clashes. Just love the way the modern lighting comes together with these classic sprites.
Hey everyone, I'm Cryobite33 and my pick for the next fest was Voidtrain. Sorry in advance if my voice is a little rough, I'm just getting over a cold. I'm a big fan of survival crafting games and trains, so I was really excited to give it a go and see how it played. After a few minutes of testing, I was able to get either a locked 720p at 60 frames per second or 1080p at 30 on the deck, which was great to see from a new game with great visuals. After getting into the game proper, the controls felt great, which is pretty rare for survival crafting games with a controller, while moving around felt very smooth. The concept of Voidtrain is simple. You're on a train in the void and have the ability to move the train either forwards or backwards, or stop it fully. You're tasked with building the train up using scraps from around the void, but the catch is that you're always tethered to the train and can only wander a short distance to gather resources. This was a really interesting game mechanic, and before long I started keeping the train on low speed while I floated alongside it to grab items. While playing, I managed to research and build a few crafting stations, go through a ridiculously imposing portal, explore an abandoned train station, get a revolver, and discover that there are threats living in the void. The gameplay was ridiculously addictive, and I quickly found myself entering the one more thing loop. While I only needed a few minutes of footage for this video, I ended up playing for well over 2 hours, even though I thought that it was only 30 minutes. One thing's for sure, I'll be getting Voidtrain as soon as it comes out. Alright, that's all from me, take it away.
Hey everyone, DeckWizard here. Thank you to the Steam Pals for asking me to be a part of this event. The game I picked for the Steam Next Fest is Echoes of the Living. I am a big fan of survival horrors from the PS1 era, most notably Resident Evil and Silent Hill for their tank controls and fixed camera angles. As soon as I saw Echoes of the Living, I knew that I was going to be in for a good time. The developers described the game as a dark classic survival horror, inspired by the greatest hits from the 90s. You get to choose from 2 characters when you start, and the game will instantly feel familiar to anyone that has played Resident Evil 2 as you begin the game seeking an escape from a zombie outbreak in a city, where you'll quickly become equipped with a handgun and limited ammo to defend yourself from enemies while figuring out where to go next. What I like the most about Echoes of the Living is how close the game comes to capturing the essence of classic survival horrors, from the sound of your character's footsteps, inventory system for combining items, and an underlying mystery that I look forward to understanding when the full game releases sometime in late 2023. If you're hungry for some old style survival horror in between releases, then I would recommend checking this out on the Steam Deck.
Okay, since I got a few seconds left now for something completely different. Bzzzt is a platformer that plays a bit like Celeste or Super Meat Boy, while looking a lot like Mega Man. You instantly respawn when you walk into an enemy or hazard, and try to beat the clock on the levels too while collecting all these screws. The demo even includes a boss battle, and if you're looking for a game that doesn't tax the battery too much, look no further. I played the demo locked in at 6 watts, which means you can chase the best times on levels for a long time on the deck. Okay, that's it for me. On to the next one.
Hey pals, I am Scorp of Chinballs Gaming, and this is BleakSword DX by More 8-Bit. Now, this game was actually a launch title for the Apple Arcade way back in 2019, and having never owned an Apple product, I was a wee bit jelly at the time. So I'd basically forgot about this game until I was browsing the Next Fest store page for this very video. The 8-bit pop-up book diorama style looks really gorgeous, and having smashed the whole demo, I'm happy to say that it plays as well as it looks. That's a compliment, by the way. Evade, dodge, parry, counter, and attack a variety of enemies, including bats, because games always need bats, giant spiders, boar things, evil Rudolph, and boss fights with Rudolph's angry dad. There's probably a rich lore and story, but I obviously skipped all that. I didn't boot up the deck to read a book. There are a few minor roguelike elements such as equipable items and leveling up, but thankfully not a lot. This is a game that you can drop into for 5 to 10 minutes to clear out a level or two and then stick your deck into sleep mode, jumping straight back into the action later without having to think about it, which is exactly what I want when I'm gaming on the deck. BleakSword DX is set to release at some point in 2023.
This is High-Tech Lowlife, and thank you for watching this video. If you liked this Steam Pal video, be sure to like and subscribe and share this with your friends. If you liked this video, be sure to check out our individual channels. Everyone on this list here makes great Steam Deck content, so you should check out every single channel here.